quiz today?
Quiz we won't have today. We'll have maybe next week or next to next week. It depends.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So I'll start with the presentation. Just let me know when you can see the presentation, okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Can you see?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can see.
Okay. So this is the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. What is it called? Dhyana Yoga. So before we introduce and before we start with the chapter, let us have the starting prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisheshaya Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So this is the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Dhyana Yoga. Now we see every chapter ends with yoga, right? We have first chapter was Arjuna Vishada Yoga, second chapter was Sankhya Yoga, third chapter was Karma Yoga, fourth chapter was Jnana Yoga, and like that we see all chapters end with yoga. Now anybody knows what is the actual meaning of yoga? What do you think yoga is, according to you? It's fine if it's wrong or correct. We don't matter. It's just you just tell about your opinion. What do you think yoga is? Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So what do you think yoga is? Is it some form of exercise where we do some breathing exercise like pranayam, then we do some asana posture and all? What do you say? Tell whatever you know about
Prabhuji,
yoga.
meditation upon Lord.
Yeah, that is bhakti yoga. That is a very advanced yoga, but yes. So now see, if you know a little bit of Hindi or Sanskrit, you can understand. See, now opposite of yoga is viyog. Now viyog means separation. Okay, so therefore we see yoga means union. So union with what? Union with God. So therefore uh, when you get with anything, if you get closer to Lord or Krishna, then that is what is called yoga. So uniting with the Lord is called yoga. So these are our deities of ISKCON Shri Radha Govind Temple. Let us take their blessings and let us start with the chapter. So let us first see that what we had learned in the 5th chapter. In the 5th chapter, we see Nishkam Karma Yoga is easier than renouncing the work. That is that Nishkam, rather than renouncing all the types of work, we should rather choose for Nishkam Karma Yoga. That is doing actions without the expectations of result. Now, then we see how to perform Nishkam Karma Yoga. Then the platform of knowledge, that is knowing the 3 types of doers. Liberation by focus on the soul. Then we see Krishna had introduced about Ashtanga Yoga, and we learned about Ashtanga Yoga in this chapter in detail. And then the last shloka, which is one of the most important shlokas, it says that what is the peace formula. That uh, first is that you should know that Krishna is the supreme proprietor. then you should know Krishna is the one who created everything. And then we see that Krishna is the one who enjoys it. He's the supreme enjoyer. That's what is the first sloka. Then they say Krishna is the supreme proprietor. And the third is Krishna is the friend of everybody. The one who knows these three things can attain peace immediately. Now let us see what are we going to study in the sixth chapter. So first section talks about advancing in yoga through detached work. Detached work means working without having any attachment towards the fruits of the result. Second is the yoga root stage, that is giving up work. We'll learn about this. Now you might feel these words are difficult, but we'll learn about each and everything. Then further stages in the practice of yoga. In this, we'll see the steps of Ashtanga yoga, though this is not recommended for Kali Yuga, and later onwards we'll see that what is actually recommended for us. Then we see that how then in the next section we'll see that how do we control our mind, and next section we'll see how to control our mind, where Arjuna says that it's very difficult to control our mind. Then we see, let us say you have performed some amount of bhakti. So what will be the destination of the one who is an unsuccessful yogi? That he hasn't finished 100% of his process, but still he is unsuccessful. So what is the destination of an unsuccessful yogi? And the last shloka we'll see that who among of them are considered topmost yogi according to Lord Krishna. Now let us start with the section 1. Okay. Detachment comes to one who realizes that he is not autonomous in action. He understands that without Lord's sanctions, he cannot do anything. So Krishna, as super soul, he sanctions everything, each and every act of our thing. So if we even want to move our hand, we can't move without the will of Lord Krishna. Now this I saw that this we saw in the last chapter, that we have to meditate on Lord as if he is the supreme enjoyer, the ultimate controller, and best friend of everyone. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, that he is the best friend of everything. He is a well-wisher for everybody. Now, let us see the connection from chapter 5 to chapter 6. So slowly in chapter 5, we see they teach about how to do karma, and slowly we are learning about the consciousness and the super soul and all those things. Now let us start with the first shloka of this chapter. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Anashita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Yaha Sasanyasi cha Yogi cha Naniragnir na Chakriya. Who would like to read the translation? Yes, sir. Read the translations, please.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "One who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obliged is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty." Hare Krishna.
So again, Krishna here again is repeating what he had said in the 5th chapter, that doing Nishkam Karma Yoga, doing work without any attachment towards the fruit of the result, to the fruit of the work, is much better than renouncing everything and rather doing no duty. Because we see that for maintaining the body, we need to perform some kind of action. So therefore, it is not possible that you simply renounce everything and perform no kind of duty. Rather, you should perform your duties, but at the same time, you should not be attached to the fruits of the result. Okay. So see, this eightfold yoga system, that is Ashtanga yoga, is very difficult in the age of Kali Yuga. So we'll see that it's very difficult as we see the process. We'll further see. Then Lord emphasizes on Karma Yoga, that is Krishna consciousness. And we see that living entities are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. And so just like how our parts of the body, let's say our hand, if we want to move our hand, we move it according to will of our. So similarly, we are the parts and parcels of Lord Krishna. So we should also work according to the will of the Supreme Lord. There's a lot of things given here. You can just go through it when I'll send you the slide. Okay, let us see the second shloka. Who would like to read the translation for this?
Prabhuji, I can read.
Yes.
What is called renunciation? You should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme, O son of Pandu. For one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification.
Again, see here we see that again, see, same as yoga or linking one with the Supreme. So now we understand what is the actual meaning of yoga. Yoga means you're linking yourself or connecting yourself with the Supreme Lord. So, and one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Yes, this is what the shloka we saw. Okay, let us see the third shloka. Arurukshor muneryogam karma karanam uchyate yogarudhasya tasyaiva samakaranam uchyate. Would like to read the translation? Please read. Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to read the translation? Please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes.
For one who is neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means.
So, for a neophyte person, work is said to be the means of yoga, while for the ones who are advanced or who are more mature in this process, are for them cessation means type of renunciation of all material activities. But as I said, that this form of yoga is not recommended for us in the Kali Yuga. So therefore, we'll see this is the entire process. So the ladder of spiritual development. Okay. Initially, what happens? You start reading the Vedas, and there are various karma kanda or various rituals, Vedic rituals that are being performed. Like you perform yagnas in your home and all those things. So that is all performing rituals so for some material benefit. Like it could be like elevation to the heavenly planets and all. Then we see second one is that after performing karma kanda, you perform nishkam karma yoga, that is renouncing the fruits of one's labor. And then after karma yoga, we have the stage of jnana yoga. Jnana yoga is where we acquire knowledge. After that, we have the stage of ashtanga yoga, where we try to meditate on Paramatma or the super soul within our heart. And at the last, we have bhakti yoga, that is loving devotional service towards the Supreme Lord. Now we see that ashtanga yoga, meditation and all, it's very difficult, especially in the age of Kali Yuga, because our mind is very restless. But if we see, bhakti yoga is a very easy and a simple process, especially in the age of Kali Yuga, because we see what is the recommended process in the age of Kali Yuga is simply chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That's it. And by that, you can directly jump to the stage of Bhakti Yoga. It's just like, see, we have a ladder and we have an elevator. Okay. So if you want to if you want to reach to the fifth floor as early as possible, you would rather choose the elevator instead of ladder, because ladder, it will take a lot of efforts and time. While we see elevator will take lift you up very easily, and you see that easily you will reach the your destination. But the thing, so therefore we see, just like that, chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra will directly promote you to bhakti, the stage of bhakti yoga. And by that means we see we'll be able to directly achieve the supreme destination. Okay, yoga rudha stage. So this new neophyte stage is called yoga rurukshu. What they say is that they perform work, but it's not they don't be attached to the fruits of result. While yoga ruda is the advanced stage, that they do not engage in sense gratification or in fruitive acts, and have renounced all material desires, and they practice yoga full time and has full knowledge. Now again I repeat that this process is not recommended in the Kali Yuga, but then you'll say, why is Krishna saying? So Krishna is trying to emphasize that, see how difficult is this process. So therefore we there at the end we'll see that the last sloka we'll see that Krishna will declare who is the topmost yoga. The one who performs bhakti yoga is called the topmost yogi. Uddharet atma namnatma, uddharet atma natmanam natmanam avasadayet, atmaiva hyatmanur bandhur, atmaiva ripuratmana. Who would like to read the translation?
Prabhuji,
Yes.
Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes.
One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
So we see that what is the sloka emphasizing, that see if your mind is controlled, it's a friend of yours, but if your mind is not is uncontrolled, then it can be your greatest enemy. So therefore it's very very important to have a controlled mind. Okay, there are people who have a lot of prosperity and lot of richness in their life, but still they do not attain peace because their mind is uncontrolled. Still they are hankering for more and more things. They are having desires, even even when they even after having so much of luxury. So therefore it's not about the external things that make you happy and peaceful. It's about the inner prosperity that makes you happy. That is having a controlled mind. And by performing bhakti yoga, we'll see that we will be able to have inner peace, and we be able to stay happy and nice in the we'll have a successful life. So is a mind a friend or an enemy? That's a question, because if it's controlled, it's a friend, but if it's uncontrolled, it's an enemy. Yes, this is the shloka. Bandhur atmanam atmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jita anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. That for one who has conquered the mind is the best of the friends. But one who has failed to do so, the mind will remain the greatest enemy. So that is how we see that it's all about controlling the mind. If you have controlled the mind, then it can be best of your friends. It will be helpful in your process of bhakti yoga. So for one who has conquered the mind, he has attained tranquility, and such a man, in happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. So for that person who has a controlled mind, for him everything is same. Then a person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi when he is fully satisfied by the virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. So once you have realized, when you have self-realized about and as have full knowledge of everything, then you will be able to remain as happy and satisfied. For him, pebbles, stones, and golds are everything same. A person who still considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious friends and enemies, the pious and sinners, all with an equal mind. So a person who has a controlled mind will treat everybody equally. Now these are the 6 enemies of mind: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya. These are considered the 6 bad qualities which should not enter our mind. Okay, Kama is lust. Any desire we see is Kama. Now see, if the lust is not fulfilled, then what we have? Krodha, that is anger. And if the lust is fulfilled, then you have more and more desires, more and more wants. So that is called lobha or greed. Okay. So basically, the origin of anger and greed also comes from lust. Then mada means intoxication or madness. Moha means illusion, when you are in complete illusion. And matsarya means when you are in having enmity or envy. Okay. One established in self-realization by virtue of knowledge and self-realization sees pebbles, stones, and gold as the same. Yes, this all we have discussed. Now let us see. Let us see what are the further stages in the practice of yoga. We'll see what is the actual form of yoga. Okay. So do you think all these things are yoga? The chair yoga, yoga for pregnancy, then yoga for physical and mental health, then yoga for then see there is then this is also a form of yoga called beer yoga. This also form called beer yoga, where they drink beer and do yoga. Do you think it is actually a form of yoga? What do you say?
Yes.
Yes. Yes or no? Okay. So we see that this is not actually a form of yoga. This is actually a form of exercise, and nowadays people are calling it in with the name called yoga. And we see that in the name of yoga, they are doing all kinds of nonsense. We see all these things, beer yoga and all this. Is this not a part of our yoga which is recommended in the shastras? Now what is yoga? Actually, the yoga which we actually refer to is called as ashtanga yoga. Now what is ashtanga yoga? Ashta means 8, anga means limb, and yoga means connection. As I told, connection with the supreme lord is called yoga, and the opposite of yoga is called viyog. Viyog means separation. So therefore, Ashtanga Yoga is 8-folded system of yoga. Now, what are these 8-fold? Yama, that is external disciplines. Niyama, internal disciplines. Asana, posture. Pranayama, breath control. Pratyahara, withdrawal of senses. Dharana, concentration. Dhyana, meditative absorption. And Samadhi, that is union or integration with the super soul. So, these are the 8-fold system of yoga. But nowadays we see what they do is that they directly jump to asana and pranayama. They don't perform yama and niyama. See, the most common things we see which are done for bodily things are is asana and pranayama. Now they directly jump to this. Now see, actually what is the goal of performing Ashtanga Yoga? It is to achieve connection with the supreme super soul. But the thing is that people only take 2 aspects of this Ashtanga Yoga, that is asana and pranayama, for their bodily health. But now you'll say that if the goal is to achieve the Supreme Lord, then why did they even add this into the system? So that, see, one thing is that even to perform the further stages of yoga, you need to have good bodily health. So what does this asana and pranayama do? This helps you to have a nice bodily health, so that you can perform the further stages of yoga, and at the end you can achieve connection with the super soul. So therefore, that is why asana and pranayama are there. But people, they perform yoga only for bodily benefits. Therefore, they only perform asana and pranayama so that they can keep their body healthy. But that's not the goal of yoga. It's to achieve connection with the Supreme. Now, see, this is all the complicated process we see. Okay, anybody would like to read this?
Prabhuji, I can read.
Wait, is this text clear or shall I change the color? Now it's clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yama 6.10. He should always live alone in a scheduled place and always carefully control his mind. Niyama 6.17. Temperate his habits of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation. Asana 6.11 to 14. Lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin. Seeds should neither be too high or neither too low, and should be situated in a sacred place. One should hold one's body, neck, head accurate in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of nose.
Okay, thank you, Mati. So what does this say? Is that see this you have to lay kusha grass, then you have to cover it with the skin. The shade should not be high or too low, or should be situated in. Actually, what you can do is that rather than taking as a, you can rather use this in your chanting. Okay, now I'm not telling you bring deer screen and lay kusha grass and all, but these are actually tips for chanting also you can use it, because it's also type of meditation also, right? So therefore what we can see is that neither keep your seat too high or too low. Okay, this is one thing you can implement in your while you are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And also one more thing, neither keep your eyes completely closed, neither keep your eyes completely open, because if you keep your eyes completely open you'll be easily distracted. And if you keep your eyes completely closed, then you know what happens, you will sleep. So therefore it's so therefore have uh, have control over this thing. And then pranayama, practice stopping the movement of outgoing breathe and into the incoming, and incoming breathe into the outgoing, and thus last remain in trance. So this is all about the various process till pranayama stage. Then we see next. Okay, anybody else would like to read? Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. No one is reading, then I'll read. So pratyahara, that is cessation of material existence. Then dharana disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence. Devoid of all material desires, he is said to have attained yoga. Dhyana, as a lamp in a windless place, does not waver. So the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. Samadhi, one is never shaken even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So this is how we see the various process of Ashtanga Yoga is performed. So therefore, see, all these things is not that much important to know. But main thing which is important to know is that there are 8 stages of yoga, and and the final stage is samadhi. They might ask you that which of the following are the stages of Ashtanga Yoga. Then they say yama, niyama, dharana, and they'll say some other name. So therefore, like that, you need to know that about these stages, or you just need to know the names of all these stages. As of now, this all processes is kind of advanced, so therefore we'll not deal with it so much. All other yogas are in progression towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. Natya Natya Ashnatastu Yogastu नाचैकान्तं अनास्नता नचाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुन. Who would like to read this? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, I'll read. Okay. Anybody want to read? Or shall I? Yes. Mataji, you are on. Okay, fine. I'll read. There is no possibility of one becoming a yogi. Oh Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Okay. So therefore, everything should be in control. Okay. That one should not eat too much. See, if you eat too much, you'll become lazy, and if you eat too little also, that is bad because you need energy for your routine activities. And if you sleep too much also, it's bad. And if because that will lead to more laziness. And if you sleep in very little also, it's not good because that can cause uh, uh, tiredness in your body. So therefore it is very important to have a control over these things. So see, sleeping, okay, for sleeping, if we see, uh, it's recommended that you sleep between 9 to like at you know 10 or maximum 10 or 11, because that's what is said, that 9 to 12 is the time when you get the best sleep. Okay. And that sleep is considered to be the best hours of sleeping. So therefore, if you even sleep 1 hour of it, it is equivalent to sleeping 2 hours. So that is how it is said. And we see that if you sleep too much, no, then what will happen is that you will rather you know get more laziness and you will feel to sleep more. So therefore it is recommended to sleep thus as much required for your body. Now see, this is also one of the important sloka. Okay. Now this is also very important while we do any type of activity. Let us say you are studying also. Okay. So while studying, you might get so many thoughts and all. Okay. So here Krishna says the solution for it. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So therefore, see, it's like, have you seen aeroplanes? If in aeroplanes, if we see, there are two wings. Okay. If one of the wings is if one of the wings is too high and the other wings is too low, the pilot then sets it in a straight line, so that you know there are less chances of the plane to fall. Okay. So similarly, just like how, like that, we have to control our mind. That from wherever the mind is, due to its unsteady nature, it's going wherever it is going. You have to bring it back under your own control. So that is how Krishna says that you have to, practice this. That whenever your mind is wandering somewhere else, try to bring it back under your control. Okay. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reaction to the past states. Now, see, here they have mentioned about qualitative identity. Now, what does this mean? Okay. Qualitative identity means that we are qualitatively same but quantitatively different. Now, we are saying what is all this things. Now let us take an example. Okay, let us say we have let us say we have a sea or an ocean. Okay, from that sea or an ocean, let's say you are taking few drops of water. Okay, now if you check that water, okay, it will have the same properties as the water present in the ocean. Okay, so the properties present in those drops of water is same as is similar to that present in the water that is present in the ocean. Okay. So see, qualitatively we are the same. But quantity, we see few drops of ocean, water, and the entire ocean. We see by quantity, it has a very huge difference. Okay. So therefore, we see qualitatively we are same with the law, but quantitatively we are not the same. That's how we can understand. So by the self-controlled yogi engaged in yoga practice becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness. A true yogi observes in me all beings and sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. So this is what Krishna says about a person who has achieved uh, achieved samadhi in yoga. For one who sees me in everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor he is ever lost to me. Such a yogi engaged in the worshipful surface of the super soul, knowing that I and the super soul are one, remain always in me in all circumstances. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and distress. O Arjuna. So this is all things which Krishna is describing about the yogi. I hope you are understanding everything which I have taught till now. Yeah, I hope you are understanding. Okay. Now let us see the next section. That is, this is one of the most important sections in this chapter. That necessity of controlling the turbulent mind. Now, before Arjuna asks the question, let us see the position of Arjuna. Okay. Now, Arjuna was such a great archer. We see that once all the Pandavas and Kauravas were made to assemble, and they were told to hit on the eye of the bird. Okay. Now, it was not an actual bird; it was a toy bird. Okay, because okay, so we see that uh, all others tried. Okay, now whenever they were trying, Dronacharya kept asking that what you can see. They said, I can see the tree, I can see the, I can see the grass, I can see the fruits and all those things. Okay. But when Arjuna was asked that what you can see, he said, I can only see the eye of the bird. And then when he shot, it directly it directly hit the eye. Then we see another instance is when during the Draupadi Swayamvar that they made a challenge that by looking at the reflection of the fish, you have to aim at the eye of the fish and hit it there. Okay. So we see everybody tried, but nobody was successful other than Arjuna. So that is how we see Arjuna had a great vision and great, control over his mind. And he is the one who fought with Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva being pleased, he gave him the Pashupatastra. So therefore we see he had great strength and great vision and great control of mind. Okay. Now Arjuna is saying here, okay. Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogastvaya prokta samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitim sthiram. Okay. Anybody would like to read?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Arjuna Vacha Yoyam Yogastvaya Prokta Samayena Madhusudana Etasyaham na pashyami Chanchalatva Sthithim Sthiram Madhusudana. Okay. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady.
Okay, so as they said that now we saw that Arjuna had great vision and great control of his mind. But even he is saying that this yoga which you have summarized is appearing impractical and unendurable by me. So it's like it's not possible for me to perform this level of yoga. And in the very next verse, it's one of the most important verse said by Lord, one of the most important verse in Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna says about the nature of his mind. Okay, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramathi balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayori vasu dushkaram. Anybody would like to read the translation?
Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes.
For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think it's more difficult than controlling the wind.
So controlling, he's saying that he's talking about first the nature of the mind, that is very restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. And then he's saying that it's more difficult to control the mind rather than controlling the wind. He's saying by performing some, siddhi, by getting some, by praying to Lord and all, you can at least get some, some moon which will help you to control the wind, but which is going very fast. Okay, you can still control the wind, but he's like you cannot control the mind. That's how hard he's saying is to control the mind. He's like Krishna, the mind is more difficult to control than the wind. Okay, now this is also very important words where Krishna explains how do we control our mind. Okay, Shri Bhagavanuvacha asamchayo mahabaho manodurnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Anybody would like to read translation? Please read. It's given on the picture.
Can I read the translation, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Lord Shri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by a suitable practice and by detachment. Hare Krishna.
So what are the two words highlighted here? Abhyasena and Vairagyena. Okay. So Abhyasena means it is possible by practice. Abhyas, by practice. If you just like see, we saw in that shloka that from wherever mind is wandering, bring back the mind to your control. So if you practice that, if you practice the process of Bhakti Yoga and Vairagyena by detachment, if you detach yourself from the fruits of result and show no kind of attachment to things, then we see you'll be able to control your mind. He's saying that it's undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but by performance of practice and renunciation, not renunciation but detachment, you will be able to control your mind. So therefore this practice and detachment is very much important to control the mind. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Similarly, yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. So Krishna here is saying that if you're let's say you're chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and then you are saying I can perform sinful activities, and after that you are saying again I'll chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra so that all my sinful reactions are gone. Okay, so now such type of practice, what Krishna is saying is like you're igniting the fire. You're igniting the fire that will destroy your sinful reactions, but at the same time you're pouring water on the fire that it will it will blow, the fire will blow off, and then we see again the sinful reactions will come. So it's like it's a complete waste of time if you're practicing such type of things, that while engaging in material or sinful activities, you are at the same time performing devotional service. It's like it's, and without control of mind, he's saying it's a complete, the yoga practice is waste of time. Now let us say a person. Let us take an example. Let us take a let us take a s- uh, let us take a case. Okay, here where there is a person. Okay, he has performed 60% of his Krishna, his process of Krishna consciousness in his one life, but uh, unfortunately, he had to give up his body. Okay, and then we see 60%. Okay, now it's not like a game that if you are having some amount of things, some amount of achievements in your game, once you uninstall, all of them will be done. Okay, it's not like that. Whatever is your spiritual credit, whatever amount of practice that you have done in your previous life, it will be continued in the next life. And Krishna will give you such type of factors that will that will be favorable for your further progress in Krishna consciousness. So he'll either give you birth in a family of wise transcendentalists, or a birth in the family of devotees, or an aristocratic birth. Okay, let us see what Krishna says. Okay, now what happens to an unsuccessful transcendentalist? Although he begins the process of self-realization with faith, he later desists due to worldly mindedness, and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism. Now, what happens to such type of yogi? Okay, he's like, oh mighty Arjuna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? So what? See, Arjuna is asking this question that, let us say there is a person who is performing Krishna consciousness, and he has performed like 50% of his thing. Okay, and he has just another 50% remaining. But let us say, due to some reason, either he has to give up his body, or maybe he has to maybe he falls down. Okay, maybe he gets attracted to material activities again, and he falls away. Then he'll be like, then in such a case he'll fall away from both spiritual and material success. So he'll become like a person with in neither of the sides. So won't he become like a ribbon cloud who doesn't have any position in any sphere? He's like such a type of person. For him it's more difficult. He's like, then Arjuna says that this is my doubt, oh Krishna, I ask you to dispel it completely, but for you no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. Means other than you nobody can destroy this doubt, so therefore please clarify my doubt. Now Krishna says that Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Parthanaive Naiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschid Durgatim Tata Kachati. Who like to read the translation? Hare Krishna.
Mataji, can I?
Yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Son of Pratap, a descendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction, either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So, a person who has performed devotional service in his life and done auspicious activities, he does not meet with destruction either in this material world nor in the spiritual world. And one who does good will never be overcome by evil. Now, what is the destination of an unsuccessful yogi? Pious birth in a good family. Maybe he has performed some amount of Krishna consciousness, so he'll get some pious birth in a good family. Then he'll be able to revive his divine consciousness in the early stage of his life. And now he'll get naturally attracted to the yogic principles. Okay. Now we see, maybe you all might have performed some kind of devotional service in your previous life, that you got an early chance of, at a very young age only you got a chance to, to continue and understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So it could be that all of you people might be, some might be very great devotees in your past life. So therefore, it could be possible. So these all are shlokas which talk about that only. On taking such a birth, he revives divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further process in order to achieve complete success. Now what Krishna says is that by virtue of divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically gets attracted to yogic principles even without seeking them. So we see you all of people are very fortunate to having an opportunity to attend this course. So therefore we see you, so therefore by virtue of divine, they'll be automatically attracted to yogic principles even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands above the ritualistic principles of scriptures. Then the next is, and when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contamination, ultimately achieve perfection after many, many births of practice and attains the supreme good. So, by after practicing for many, many births, you will be able to attain the supreme goal. Okay. So that's what Krishna says, that now we are coming to the last section of this chapter, which talks about yogi, the topmost yogi. Now, yogis are greater than empiricists, fruitive workers, and ascetics. Of all yogis, those with full faith always think of Krishna and render transcendental loving service to him are highest of all. Now let us see the sloka. Okay. Krishna is saying that yogi is better than an empiricist and a fruitive worker. Okay. Therefore, in all circumstances, O Arjuna, be a yogi. Now, this is the last sloka of Bhagavad Gita. And last sloka of this chapter, I mean, yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan vachite yomam sameyukta tamomata. Okay. So anybody would like to read the translation for the last shloka?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Raise your hand, you can read.
And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always adheres in me, thinks of me within himself and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most immediately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That's my opinion. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So here what Krishna says, that of all yogis, there is a person who has great faith and who always abides, who always follows the instructions of Lord Krishna. He who always, Shraddhavan bhajate yomam, that who with faith and devotion worships me, renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most and intimately united with me in yoga, is the highest of all yogis. He's saying, that is my opinion. That is Krishna's yoma. Some yukta tamomata. That is Krishna's opinion, the Supreme Lord's opinion. So what did we see in this chapter? Advancing in yoga through detached work, the yoga ruda stage, giving up work, further stages in the practice of yoga, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind, the destination of an unsuccessful yogi, and the topmost yogi. So with this, we'll conclude with the chapter. Let us send the concluding prayers. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. हरे कृष्ण. Hare Krishna, everyone. I'll send you the attendance link. Fill the form and then you can leave the class. Okay.
Prabhuji, not the Prabhuji.
Yes.
The quiz for the chapters, no. The quiz for the chapters, the link will. Can you send the link?
And that will be next week, not this week.
Not exam, Prabhuji. This one.
Quiz. We don't take regular quiz in every class. Okay. This is attendance link. Fill the attendance form, and after that you can leave the class.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Mataji, I have done the attendance. May I leave?
Yes, you can leave. Hare Krishna.
Hare
All
Krishna,
those
Mataji.
not filled attendance form, you can leave. Okay.